This is a series of films that tells the history of contemporary fashion photography as seen through the eyes of models. Tell me a little bit about this, because this is quite an incredible event. Happened at Versailles?
Versailles, oh my gosh, that was in '73, and I had been living in Europe, but I got a call to come back to America because they were going to do this benefit.
Right.
And because I was with Halston, Bill Blass, and Stephen Burrows, and Anne Clyde, and they wanted me to be in the show. So they said, come back, we're going to do this show. But what really wanted me to go back is that I could work with Kay Thompson.
Right.
And she was Liza Minnelli's teacher and coach, and Kay Thompson was also the woman who was coaching Judy Garland and best friends with Judy Garland, who was my goddess. I loved Liza Minnelli. And I got to be a backup chorus girl for a number they were doing in the show. And oh my God, who doesn't want to be in show business and work with Liza Minnelli as a chorus girl? I mean, you got to hoof it in the back, but you're still there, you know? And so I came into New York, we went into the studios, and we rehearsed. And we did that number, and we learned to say Bonjour Paris, and Liza came in and sang in the afternoon, and then we packed up our things and we all got on this big jet plane. All the designers, all the models, like a trunk show with all the clothes in the belly of the plane. And if you saw us today, they'd throw us off the plane because the boys are sitting on the girls are sitting on the boys, and we were like drinking champagne and laughing and taking pictures. It's not going to happen today unless you have a private jet, which is what most people use these days. But in those days, my God. And some of the girls had never been off 7th Avenue. They'd never been to Paris. And it was like all the girls that you would never see in your life were the saviors of American fashion. Because the rhythm in their souls, the black girls, all the nationalities of girls, which is what America is made of the fruit salad of girls, was happening on 7th Avenue. Except that maybe Yves Saint Laurent had a few girls in his show, and Givenchy, but it was after this moment of Versailles.
Because this was a contest between French designers and American designers.
No, it didn't start at that at all.
Oh, right, okay.
It started as doing a charity as friendship, reaching out our hand to come and help, because they needed to have something to spark up the show to make it international. You know, they had France, but they needed something new. And then they threw Stephen Burrows in, this black American designer with these African American girls on wearing chiffon and Givenchy, and you know, it was just an unexpected event that happened. And so the French went on and they did their show with all the accessories. They had the staging, the lighting, they had Versailles. At Versailles, the palace with the kings. We were so happy to get to Versailles. We felt like royalty ourselves. When we got to the grounds of Versailles, the snowflakes were coming down. It looked like a piece of cake. But when we got backstage, it was freezing like the 1700s in winter. Poor Josephine, no wonder she had to change her clothes so often to keep warm. But Josephine Baker was there. Nureyev was there. Cardin was there. Oh, the French designers, everyone that I had worked with. But I had to change camps. I had to not be so international, be an American. So I figured we'd come in and kill everybody with our music and our movement. So we got out on that stage, and it was our turn. After hours, like 24 hours of waiting to rehearse, our stage was not ready. All we had was one tape of music, and if we didn't get out there in time, there was no show, and there was no choreographer. Because Kay Thompson decided we were not working as professionals, because in fashion we're chaotic. Everything is the last minute, and people are running around like crazy, painting each other and putting pins in things. That was not happening in show business. So Kay Thompson left the scene. I'm out of here. And then we had a big argument. Halston and Bill Blass, everybody wanted to go first on the maquet, whatever that paper is, the schedule. And so we ended up rehearsing in Oscar de la Renta's room, which was at his hotel, and he gave us champagne and caviar. So we were set. We knew what we were doing, even if we were dizzy with champagne. And we came back, we did our rehearsal for we had no time at all. So we just sort of winged it with the good lighting, which we knew how to do because that's all we had.
But you described very beautifully how you moved through in Halston.
From my point of view, besides all the atmosphere, I felt I was gifted with someone who's a visionary. And when Halston said to me, "You are my moth," and he dressed me in 100 layers of chiffon, and he said, "Get out there and fly to the light." And I knew what he was talking about because I love the spotlight. I always thought it was God, and in reality, light, let there be light. And the spotlight came down on me, and it's not that I went up into the sky, I went forward in this spotlight, and these hundreds of layers of chiffon sort of lifted as I was in this vortex of turning, and I couldn't see my way out. And when I got to the edge of the stage, I could feel my feet right on the edge, and all the layers went down like I had just landed. And I heard the crowd screaming. I said, "I have to get out of here, I have to get back, I love this, but which way out?" And then I felt the chiffon go the other way, and I stood twirling and twirling in this vortex of chiffon, and I went right to the end, splat to the wall and out, and I knew I had done it. I could hear the crowd cheering and clapping and whistling. I said, "Oh, thank God I did it the right way." And it was a big moment, you know, it was a big moment for America. And then I went out in Stephen Burrows and had this way long train, if you know what that is, at the back of the dress. And usually royals wear it to a wedding. And mine was as long as the stage. And I thought, how am I going to work this train? But anyway, I was the finale, and when I got to the end, the girls joined me, and we were supposed to move. And so I started making these movements, which is now called voguing.
Right.
They call it voguing. So we were the first, the American girls from 7th Avenue, to do these movements called voguing. And we stood on the edge of the stage, and we posed, and we made these movements. And that was fun.
Well, I mean, it sounds like an amazing event, but who was in the audience?
Oh my God, Grace Kelly.
Right.
Josephine Baker went out to see. Yves Saint Laurent. A lot of princesses were there. The Rothschilds, and also the Duchess of Windsor, whom I got to sit with at the dinner.
Right.
And then, oh my God, there were so many wonderful society ladies, and there was so much bijou in the audience. It was sparkling. It was like a diamond thief's paradise. And you sat there and you looked at them and you thought, this is the real thing, even though they had ostrich feathers. I mean, there were so many ostrich feathers in those days, and they were like flittering. And I remember the candelabras, you know, glowing on the ceiling. The cherubs were dancing. It was so hypnotic. Walking down the Hall of Mirrors with Givenchy, who was like 6'6", and he was so gorgeous. I loved him because he's so tall. And we were like school kids, and we were just like fascinated and in awe of each other that we were in that place at the same time together.
Was Versailles was a bit run down at that point?
Not the Hall of Mirrors, just the roof. I mean, outside, you know, they had to do the technical maintenance. But the inside, sometimes like people, you know, they put the outside beautiful, but maybe they don't feel so good on the inside. So I think it had a little bit of a down moment. But we didn't notice that as much when we were having the party, because they did really make an effort to make us, in the end, as comfortable as they could at the dinner, and there were little golden chairs, and the Rothschilds were there, and beautiful Marisa Berenson and Liza Minnelli, and you know, it was just exquisite. And the boys that were waiting on us had white gloves, dressed in 1700s tights, which was gorgeous, and the satin pants to the knee, and the powdered wigs, and you know, it was like going back in time, and the girls in the marble staircases, and everybody was in a fantasy world. And that's where you want to go. You want to be with your people in a created world that you sort of, you know, desire to be in. That's what fashion is. You create your own world, and then you walk in it. You know, even if it's a shooting, you do that.
Well, I'm just going to drag up a little bit of film, so give me 2 seconds. This is something that I came across. I just think it's, I'll show you a brief moment of it. Hopefully it is you.
I don't know. We don't know what's in that machine. Let's look at it. Something might pop up that we get interested in. Oh, horrifying. But it was fabulous. You know, this picture is of me. I'm like 4 months pregnant with my first child, rising into the air as Mother Mary, dressed in Thierry Mugler, in a show in Paris, in the biggest, on the biggest stage. I don't remember where it was exactly, but that ceiling is 6 stories high, and I was up 5 stories high before I came down.
But you're so graceful.
I'm floating. I'm floating down onto the stage as Mother Mary.
Where are the wires?
You don't see them because, Thierry Mugler is a genius. The lighting, the staging, everything is out of his vision. And he treated me so beautifully. He allowed me to be what in his fantasy I could, follow. And those are all angels waiting for the mother of Jesus to arrive. And Noel, my son, was in there with me. And the girls, that was actually my last show in Paris before, I left to have my family.
Right.
And you could see the little bit of, pokey wokey there. And
only slightly.
All the girls, I thought I was in heaven.
Well,
I really did. And the music and the show was so divine. Look, they have an angel wings. I mean, if you want to feel like you died and went to heaven, being in a Thierry Mugler show. I mean, he's one of the first ones to do that kind of show in Paris.
Yeah.
The big
One of the last, I think, as well.
Oh, well, he has the Mugler Follies now. You can still go see some of his genius work. It's like he's a national treasure, because he has always used his imagination to dress women in a way that you could never imagine. And you go see the Mugler Follies, and it's wonderful. It's entertaining. You should go. Did you go? You need to go.
No, I haven't gone. I've only
he
ever
owns
seen one
the
Mugler
theater.
show.
He owns the theater. He said, I'm going to buy this theater so I can do what I want.
Right.
Yeah, and this particular day and this particular show, it just accumulated after years and years and years of him, entertaining people. I remember the first shows we did, there was Issey Miyake, and there was Kinzo, and there was Thierry Mugler, and they were sort of the first ones to bring theater in fashion. To, you know.
It's very, I mean, the whole thing about, because your impact in fashion happens on many different levels.
Thanks.
But it's quite consequential. Your fashion modelling, your fashion life has changed how fashion is. But part of it is through the show. Part of it's how you are on a catwalk.
It's the people who watch the show. Their sincerity to be dedicated, to give you their time, to walk out in front of them, to buy those clothes, but to be entertained as well, because you don't want to sit there and do numbers. You want to see something. And to me, show business is part of fashion.
But did anybody teach you how to catwalk? Is that something that came from you? Did you ever get lessons?
No, what happened when I was a little girl, I used to dance with Catherine Dunham.
Right.
And I remember that Marlon Brando was in the class, and I remember all these stars, and I remember hanging off the monkey bars, and I thought, feeling clothes. And if you put them on with your eyes closed, sometimes they make you do things.
Right.
And those clothes that those designers make you become something else. And you become the spirit of the designer. And when you look at that designer, you feel their history, you see what they admire, you want to be something that satisfies them. And you become them, you become their character. And you say, this is who they are, this is who they are. Love them, love them. And it's not yourself that you're thinking about, you're loving them. Their life, their story, their colors. And you carry that it's a love story. You carry their heart, you carry their spirit, you carry their future in a way.
Your impact on the catwalk was enormous. But now it's very different on the catwalk. The girls don't behave like you used to behave at all.
Well, my daughter does.
Does she?
She knows that. She knows that.
But I would have thought it's something that people would welcome, because you're expressing the clothes rather than just showing them. You're actually expressing them.
Because time has taken on a different kind of element of romance. It seems that, to simplify, to cut things short, to make things zen minimal, people's time is so valuable, since it's so global and every second is a moment of life of someone that they're taking up. And I remember when things were changing economically or politically, things got tighter and tighter, so that it's like a conveyor belt. Instead of every girl having their own individual look, they would create one look for everyone. And so the makeup artist and the hairdresser came in to create this one look on this inspired one girl. So if you were the inspiration of the designer, then all the girls would take that look. So you would want to be the muse of the designer. And that would be a great honor.
Well, you were for many of the great designers.
I had good moments.
Halston was a fantastic moment.
With the cut on the bias, cashmere, and ladies of society in America. They wanted to comfort, and he could dress every woman. You know, he's like one of the first designers to go and let's dress the public.
Right.
But it kind of was sneered at. It's like, oh, you can't do that. You're couture. You must not dress the public. And now it's like every designer wants to dress the multitude. It's who you dress in the bus, not who you dress in the limo. Right. And so they're trying to appeal to the public. You can see all of these musician people coming in and wanting to do fashion because they know it addresses the public. It's not only the way you feel, it's also the way you package yourself that makes success. You know, and that's what the whole story is going in the conveyor belt. We're like Coca-Cola.